Hi and welcome. Oh gosh, I can just about see the screen a minute. Okay, I can't see. Oh, here we go. So welcome. This is Zish, Visionary Life Hacks, here to connect, here to inspire, here to be the change. If you're watching the live, welcome. If you're watching the replay, welcome. If you're new, welcome new people. If you share this, thank you for sharing. And yeah, let's get into it. So the other day I was talking to a good friend and he asked me a question about he's been learning about the modern Jeff Berwick TZLA, but then he'd also listened to my kind of rebuttal to the TZLA. It's quite interesting actually, because I got invited today into the Amenethys TZLA channel, where they're educating and empowering others to build their own Amenethys machines. I'm personally not invested in the technology just because I'm a bit of a purist and I've kind of found something better than the Amenethys technology as well. For me, it's because so I'm going to get into it. So then he was like confused. He was like, well, Jeff's technology is claiming to do X, Y, Z, and then there's you. So then it could appear that there's a bias. And actually there is a bias. I'm going to be biased to my technology that I've stumbled upon through my heart as a father and asking great questions. Those questions being, what is magnetism and who is Nikola Tesla? And so from that vision of asking a good question, learning about the anti-nano technology, that's quite important, like Tony Pantalleresco's anti-nano bucket and anti-nano triangle. I kind of had to ask myself, I might as well go back to the backstory and then I'll get into the modern technology. So I'll get into the modern technology and then I'll talk about the antique technology. By now, you kind of already get where I'm coming from. But there are excellent modern technologies as well. But first, let's talk about the backstory. So the backstory is, like, folks might want to ask, well, Zish, how did you even get interested in this? What was it? Now, so many people know about Tesla, but for me, I always thought it was above my pay grade. So, but then, when I was learning about Tony Pantalleresco's anti-nano bucket at the time, because folks were showing up, specifically women, during the boogeyman, with magnetic spoons on their chests. And so I was commissioned to build the anti-nano bucket. Now, up until that point, I'd asked the question, because I was trying to work out what the bucket was, and found out later through my investigation that it was actually Tesla bifilar or pancake coil, one of the two, or both, with magnets, and it's kind of like an EMP. And I ended up building those, kind of got more into the triangles. But before I got to that point of gauging what a pancake coil was, or a bifilar coil, I actually get your secondary coils, primary coils, all that kind of stuff. For those that know, they know. And I'm walking up a really steep hill. So, and we've just had frost. It's a beautiful day. And so from that, I ended up finding an amazing engineer called Sir Eric Braithwaite. And Sir Eric Braithwaite was building at the Imperial College London a gyroscopic railway. He was doing like levitation stuff. And he said in opening, we don't know what magnetism is. Whew. And that made me very inspired to think, if Sir Eric Braithwaite, Imperial College London professor, doesn't know what magnetism is, I'm in good company. And then eventually I got to who is Tesla. Oh, look, there's a dandelion. And I got to who is Tesla. And then from who is Tesla, went right back to the 1800s, 1900s, because I was learning about Van de Graaff generators, all kinds of electrostatic devices. And then this little moment, a glimpse of an image, sprang into my head like a light bulb. And I remembered an acquaintance from Britain with these glass tubes. And and I always remember looking at them thinking, they look kind of steampunky Victorian. What are those? And the rest is history. So I got into the antique technology, some Chicago units. At first, my first machine was actually a little mahogany British Everray from a barber's son who'd lived on the River Thames. And he used to live next door to where they made these like goggles, these violet ray goggles. And his father used it as a barber. That was kind of common. So that was my first machine. And then I seen the bell-shaped condenser. And then I seen other bell-shaped condensers. And I was hooked. I've always been a bit of a collector, you see, since I was a kid. Like stamps, garbage pail kids, what have you. Just I always loved collecting things. And so this became a new obsession, a healthy obsession. And I wasn't really looking to sell them. That's important. I wasn't looking to sell them. I was concerned that there was lots of geoengineering. And I'm not really religious. I'm kind of spiritually leaning towards God and, you know, the higher power. And during the boogeyman that happened after Epstein didn't kill himself, I decided, well, my friend Marcus in America, who I used to train with up in Tottenham, was going for laser treatment. I said, hey, Marcus, don't bother with the laser treatment. I'm looking into this technology. You're a dad of 4 kids. It must be quite costly. Why don't you try this out? So in the end, I got this really beautiful Chicago machine. It's called a Violetta. And at the time I was becoming a beekeeper. And this thing had 2 dual spiky coils in it, Tony Pantalleresco. This was a dual spike. And the smell of it, you could smell the beeswax on the coil. It was beautiful. I said, Marcus, I've been playing with this thing. I think it'll work for you. Let me send it to you. Sent it to him. He did a viral post. And I ended up selling them. I also have a friend called Kevin in Norway. And he's seen what I was up to. And then it all just started to take off. So I wasn't really, and then I started doing the anti-nano triangles. Because it's, for me, specifically, and this is important when folks are looking at people like Jeff and that, they've only just got on the nano whistleblower train. I have been very clear. I have nothing against Jeff. I've spoken to Jeff. We've had conversations. I've said to him, how we can make the TZLA much better. I've been sharing with him how we can make the TZLA better. And, but it was a little bit of a strange communication. Now, I've always had respect for Jeff as an anarcho-capitalist. You know, the von Mises, the Austrian School of Economics. I've always had respect for him from that perspective. But I think when it comes to this technology and the price of selling that technology, you know, some folks will say to me, so I'm biased towards my machine. Some people will say, well, Zish, we've been getting loads of results with these machines and they got loads of testimonials. Yeah, but the testimonials, you can get testimonials with a spooky, fake Rife digital technology. You can get testimonials from doing a raw vegan diet. You can get testimonials from everything. If you've been living a substandard lifestyle and suddenly you're dialed in for the first time ever, I kind of call this the honeymoon effect. You could say this with zeolites. You could say this with ivermectin. You could say this with so many things. You can include the technologies. If you've been living a substandard lifestyle, or if you've been putting yourself through stresses like breatharian, urine therapy, crazy raw food diets, really extreme things because you're an extreme person and you've gone from an extreme kind of lifestyle of debauchery or an extreme lifestyle of eating junk food, or you're just coming off alcohol or whatever, and then you suddenly find water fasting, or you suddenly find like raw foods, or you're living in Ecuador and you're just eating cacao, or you start eating like, mono diet, or you do one of these, you're doing a milk diet, you're doing a bone broth diet, you're kind of changing yourself, you're transforming yourself, you're doing all these sorts of things, and then you start taking this zeolite and you have a spiritual experience, or you start using the TZLA machine and you have a spiritual experience. Well, that's good. You're going to have an experience, and things are going to change and shift for you. But, now this is the but with the modern technology. If you don't know who's building it, why they're building it, what's the bigger picture behind the build? For example, are they then investing that money from your sale into developing an earth transmitter focused on analog technology? Are they focused on that? Because often now when I'm giving my money to, I bought something way better than a TZLA machine from somebody really awesome. Hiya. How are you? I'm just talking. So then you're doing something, and you're doing something to do with, you're doing something, right? You're doing you're using your Tesla machine, you think your Tesla machine's working, you're getting a spiritual experience, but you're not thinking about, this is where I was to, the electronics. Like, what are the electronics inside the machine? How does that interact with the harmonics that you're working with? You've got to look into the harmonics. 1 minute, let me there's a lot of distractions. Bear with me. Hiya. Yes. No problem. No, I haven't, no. No, I've seen you come across and I haven't seen one at all. You lost her?
Yeah, a little young one.
A little young one. What should I do if I see her? Hopefully she'll... Where are you from? Oh, maybe she'll go back.
Yeah, I'll be back before the old days.
Oh, yeah. Well, if I see her, I'll take her and go carry.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? You're looking for her?
Yeah, back and forth.
Oh, bless.
Don't worry, it's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no worries. Hope you find her. Well, they usually come back anyway, don't they? Yeah. What I've learned is if she's a front, is she front of the pack?
Well, he's the front.
He's the front.
Yeah.
So can he not find her?
I'm keeping an eye out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at it all day.
All right, man. But where's your home farm? What? So are you? But are you then going? Oh, you're down in Keflan.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I got land up here, see?
Okay. You. Right, so, hello, I'm back. I was just talking to a farmer. Hello. Right, so, where were we to? There's life on the mountain. Right, so, this is going to go up onto YouTube as well. So, this is for the YouTube people, to be fair, but I'm putting it here so I can then rip it and then throw it onto YouTube. Right, so, let's just backtrack, because I just got distracted 3 times. Right, so what I was saying was, you get a high capivine, okay? So what I was saying was, when you're doing like a raw food diet, what I was trying to do was put the perspective down on when you say, oh, this technology is giving me loads of testimonials, or this food is giving me loads of testimonials, this raw food is giving me loads of testimonials, this supplement's giving me loads of testimonials, like a zeolite, which is not good for you. What you have to do is you have to factor in like the Sabrina Wallace knowledge of the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies, the Wide Body Area Network, the geoengineering, the 5G, the fact that we've all been breathing in geoengineering, whether you want to believe it or not. That's just my opinion. So then you are then wetware for the globalist hackable humans. So once you know that, and you know that what happened to Tesla, you know what happened to Rife, you know what happened to Schauberger, Wilhelm Reich, Lukowski, and all these great human beings, and the 120 holistic doctors. Hello, mate. You know what's happened to all the holistic doctors when they're working with natural things like GC math, and then suddenly 120 of them die mysteriously. Wink, wink. You know, committed suicide, 2 shots to the back of the head. Beautiful holistic family. It's very sad what happened around that time with the Bradstreet and the truth about cancer and all that kind of stuff. So they remove the technology. They come in with they dismantle the food supply. They dismantle the medicine. They dismantle the technology. They create propaganda psychotronics on the mind. They bring back yoga. They bring back all these new age things. And then they bring you a fake Rife machine. They call it spooky. You know that data is the new gold. You factor in the 5G, you factor in the geoengineering, you factor in the smart meters, you factor in the mRNA spiky, nothing to do with a virus. How does the modern technology and electronics interact with the self-assembly of synthetic biology, transhuman nanoparticles? Because you know right now that everything's inverted. And these folks, that is their God. They want to mutilate children and do all these horrible things. So you have to be consciously aware of the things that disrupt and disengage this synthetic biology. Now with the modern TZLA, and then when he brings in his so-called nano whistleblower, Anna Mihalacia, my friend Zach Power of the Pulse debunked her. Because when we were using anti-nano triangles, anti-nano buckets, the antique Tesla technology, the Wimhurst machines, the Van de Graaff generators, anything, and doing the experiments, and then learning that the spooky wasn't good, learning that the terahertz wearables and the terahertz ones were not good, learning that the Halder Clark zappers were not good, ivermectin was not good, chlorella wasn't good, C60 wasn't good, Shilajit wasn't good, fulvic mineral wasn't good, alkaline wasn't good. We came up with what was, because if you're not factoring in the synthetic biology, like you have to ask yourself, well, why did Max become ill? Why did Max Eigen become ill using the TZLA? And there's a lot of things alone with the TZLA that are questionable, like the mercury glass bulbs. What kind of electronics are going on inside of it? Is it purely mechanical? You know, these are really deep questions, but to be fair, you're paying 11 grand for something that's not worth 11 grand. Jeff, stick to your trading, stick to your Bitcoin. This isn't really your field. You know, you could have made something better. So for me, when I'm looking at something that's like 120 years strong of age, and it's based on truth, it's functioning optimum, and then they go, well, we've got all the testimonials. I say, well, no, you've got so many testimonials that could be honeymoon period testimonials. They could be anecdotal testimonials. But when you go back to the 1800, the 1900 literature, where ether was the base element of everything, and they knew this, they knew this, well, then you can go back to the literature and you can find hundreds of testimonials from the trusted physician of that time, which would have been a man, the trusted chiropractor of that time, which would have been a man, and the trusted naturopath of that time, which would have been a man. There wasn't, you know, you might have had a herbalist, a woman, but I think back then it was much more patriarchal in the West. And so it would have been men. Because the women would have been at home, being mums, looking after the children and the homestead. And that's how things were. Until feminism came in and they worked out, the Rockefellers worked out that they could tax women and get the kids younger into the state so they could brainwash them, and look at where we're to today. Because these things, you have to put a geopolitical spin, a geopolitical literacy, and be able to zoom out. And then you can say, and I've got hundreds of testimonials from that time. So then today, anyone that's credible ain't going to be shoving around in your face testimonials with their technology, because that's why they got a secret club. That's why they have secret health clubs, because they know that for this to really take off, if they were really supremely credible, they'd be giving their technology, we'll just give it away. You'd be giving your technology to different groups because you believed in it, and you'd be going to do the studies on this. See if this is beneficial or detrimental. We want to know how this interacts with Rice University's teslaphoresis. We want to see if this aids in the self-assembly or this disrupts the self-assembly. Is this contributing towards digital, or is it disrupting the digital? How does it interact with the cells? How does it interact with the metabolism? What is this doing to the stem cells of the body? Is it detrimental? Is it beneficial? And then they would be building that archive and that catalogue, because they can't make claims. I can't even say to you today, frankincense heals cancer. I can say to you, frankincense, you might want to look into the scientific research that's being done on frankincense, and maybe then ask yourself the question, is this beneficial to cancer, or is it detrimental to cancer? Is all frankincense created equal? Answer is no. Is all technology created equal? The answer is no. Is all food created equal? Is all ivermectin created equal? You know, so we've really got to start to exercise our bullshit detectors. And all I know is what I know from what I'm working with. So back to the modern technology. I'll just show you where I walked. From the modern technology, from the modern technology, there are some really awesome true Rife machines. I've chosen to associate with those people. So I'm able to find, like, I know where there's true Rife machines based on the late works of Bedini. I know where there's true unbalanced multi-wave oscillators. I myself am working with a team of engineers with restored, antique, 1900 ozone generator, plasma creating, ether-based true technology, 120 years strong, with the original plasma before the geoengineering, with the testimonials in the literature that you can find in my Telegram group. So I feel confident, and I didn't just like go into this and go, I found a business, this is it. I went into it as a father with great tears and the pain pushed me to the vision pulled me, and I was like, why are they geoengineering me and my family? What am I doing wrong? My kids have never been jabbed. We eat all organic food, we grow our own food, we love biodynamics, we support local, we're doing the very best that we can. It's a challenge, but we're doing it. Don't ask for less challenges, ask for more wisdom. And then during the boogeyman, they just keep hammering us with geoengineering. They keep hammering us with 5G, probably on 7G now. These are weapons. We know they're weapons. So we have to have weapons of mass construction. And this is what pulled me into this. It was a father before anything. I say this to you all the time. It's a father first. Now I went to Jeff and I said, Jeff, I think you could make this machine better. There is one human I know, a couple, they're making a true, there's two people in the world making two true unbalanced multi-wave oscillators. Two people I know in the world. One's at the Tesla Museum in Croatia or Serbia, the other one's in America. There's only a few people I know that make true Rife machines. All these BCXs and, you know, and Seraphis and Beamer machines, and you need to have an app with it. I'm not subscribed to any of that stuff. I don't want anything that interacts with a phone. I don't want anything that connects to an app. I want things that disrupt the apps. I want things that disrupt the phones. Hence, when you see me do my videos, often when I'm filming the machines, you'll see how the technology, when I'm filming my machines, the screen zooms in, zooms out, goes dark. It messes up the phone, and I love that. So, anyway, there you go. That's why. Now, Jeff's, with the Anna Mahalacia, Anna was going, technology can't work. And at the time she was right, but she wasn't talking about she was talking about the technology she knew about. She wasn't talking about analog, acoustic, disruptive technologies like anti-nano triangles, which are Tesla coils. She wasn't talking about that. She didn't know about that. And also the problems with Anna Mahalacia is, one, you could suggest that she's almost tied into the transhuman agenda. Just because someone wears a white coat, to me, it's still a white coat. I could put a white coat on and you'd be like, trust me, I'm a doctor. I'm like, no, I'm not trusting you. You are a doctor. Iatrogenesis is real. Dr. Robert O. Young's put on a white coat. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I'm like, no, it's like, trust me, I'm a pastor. You know, it's like, no, not at all. She's working with the wrong EDTA. She ain't talking about chlorides. Like you know, then you got the EE system, which is a massive MK Ultra. And the problem with that, I think people are paying $250,000 for that piece of junk. They didn't even use like old TVs or anything like that. They're paying $250,000 for a piece of junk. But then you buy this little bag of salt, $70. I reckon that's why people are having a response. Now, you can have a honeymoon period. You could say C60 works, and you've got the scientific paper to prove it on week 7, but show me week 8. Show me week 9. Show me the liver failure. Show me 12, 13, 14, 15, because then you become the guinea pig with these novel technologies and novel superfoods and nutraceuticals. That's why I always like to say, if you can explain it to your gran, if you can explain it to a child, now think about it like this. You can take my antique technology, give it to your granddad, or depending on what age you are, your great-granddad, and you'll be like, yeah, I remember that as a kid. I get machines from people's granddads. They remember it as kids. It's beautiful. So their granddad was using it, and maybe their dad was using it. So it's not foreign, it's not new age. It's not wrapped up in 1111. You know, so I hope I've answered your questions. Sure, things will work. A spooky device will work, but it doesn't take away the fact that they're harvesting your data, and the data is the gold, and you are the wetware. You are the human battery. You are the data that they're mining. If you subscribe to Sabrina Wallace and all that kind of stuff, I think you have to factor that in today. It's a beautiful day. There isn't much geoengineering, but that still has been geoengineered. But it's a beautiful day. I focus on the beauty. That's why I focus on the antique technology, because it's really beautiful. And watch this space, something's incoming, and it's really, really beautiful. When you look at Jeff's toolbox, it's not the most desirable thing, is it? You can see that with Stefan's, like Kelgen, that was in a toolbox. It's like, come on, it just shows you they're lacking in creativity, whereas in the 1900s, everything was imbued with beauty. Look at the cars. Look at everything that was built in the 1900s, 1800s. It's beautiful. Who's that guy? There was a whole movement out of Scotland, and the British didn't think they were worthy of it. I think there was Macintosh, and there was another art movement. I can't remember the name of it now. And there was this it was around the Romantic period. what was his name? William Morris. And William Morris was like, your home should be beautiful. Like the painting on the walls, the furniture that you sit on, everything should be beautiful. I think the Scandinavians kind of ran with that. So when you look at something like Jeff's machine that should only cost about $500 to build, you're like, where's the beauty in that? Like, there's no real attention to the details. And I went to him, I said, well, that glass could be better. That could be better. And then they're like, well, our machine's 1,001 times better. It's like, what a ridiculous thing to say. You could have talked about all the great in it and how yours was solving a solution to today. When you look at the original antique technology, it actually does many functions. There is aspects of ozone being generated that is sterilizing. There is aspects of these things like the electricity, the electrons, if you want to call it, if we say the electrons, you know what I'm talking about. The protons, the plasma, the raw ether, the working on the lymphatic system, the working on the acupressure points. Why was the chiropractor using it? Why was the naturopath using it? Why was the physician using it, who was also a homeopath? There was no compartmentalized science back then, was there? It was an age of enlightenment and an impulse and thinking and feeling and willing and beauty, like Goethe. It was very beautiful. So I think we really need to kind of get back to those kind of ideas. I feel like from going back to the past, I can now come into the future and say, well, you know, I'm not going to say that my machines are 1,001 times better than the TZLA. I just know that I would never be compelled to buy a TZLA. I bought something way superior at this, around the same price point. Way superior. Naval grade. Like, badass. Like, let's kick some ass. And these folks won't make any claims. They know they can't. But they make suggestions. Why don't you try putting your cannabis plants in between that counter space Scala waves and see what's taken away and given back? Without any of the new age hodgepodge, no 3D, no 4D, no 5D, none of that rubbish, just one dimensional. You're at this coordinate, I'm at that coordinate, and we're getting shit done. We're annihilating and we're staying focused on the analog, and we know that we're making something pretty good, unbalanced, the way that it should be. But now we're bringing it into the future and we're thinking maybe it should be balanced, but we want to keep it in keeping with the reverse engineered of the original technology, so we have it unbalanced. But if you want to bring in a balanced version of this technology, here's the way to do it, based on some of our proprietary technology that you won't even know what it is if you see it, from OG, Mr. Dollard. This is pretty cool. So I'm associating with those people. I'm associating with it. So it's like, and they know that they can't make claims. So you've got to be wary of these goofy guru. Hence, they're in the algorithm. I'm under the algorithm. I'm in the shadows. I'm actually going into the shadows now. I'm in the shadows. I'm not being pushed by the algorithms. I'm not there going, I've got a nano whistleblower. But I know many nano whistleblowers without being a whistleblower. They're just some people that know some shit. They're just a dad. He's just a dad that knows some stuff. He's just a guy that knows some stuff, salt of the earth. You know, a little bit drunk on the brandy, but he understands the internet of everything, the internet of nano things, the wide body area network, and the true solutions that work, chlorides and acids. And the true technologies that work, and the true technology, and the technologies that don't work. TENS machines don't work, PEMF devices don't work. I would put TZLA into that until you know what it does. Simple fact, when somebody used the spooky device, a TI, guess what? I've got to go now because I'm on 50% battery. They died. That's not fear. That's just what happened. So you can go and use your spooky device, but if you're, but I eat organic, Zish, yeah. So everything that's organic today is being covered in geoengineering. Just go out and look at it with a nano, 50x microscope. Look at your soft fruit. that you're eating from the supermarket. But it's organic. You know, what water's it using? What soil are they using? What manures are they using? Like, people just aren't thinking today. So you got to do the very best that you can. So that's my take on the technology anyway. But it's also my take on the food. You know, you could say, oh, zeolites work. It's like, well, yeah, where were you two before you took zeolites? What have you been doing? Are you doing a heavy raw, you know, were you eating junk food? Now you're starting to do a raw food diet. Now you're bringing in some live food. Now you're starting to look at your ingredients a bit different. And then you bring in some ivermectin and you think you're connecting with the angels or 5D. You know, oh my God, I'm having a spiritual experience. Yeah, because for the first time ever, your body is feeling pure. And then you're bringing in some novel technologies. If you don't look at your supplements as a technology, because that's what a supplement is. Like, what is the supplement? Is it a technology? Does it help with the upgrades of the human potential? You know, if you're putting in an arginine, if you're putting in a KSM66 ashwagandha, when you're working on the metabolism of the body, flooding the body with kamut, flooding the body with young green coconuts, with fresh homemade almond milk, with Celtic grey sea salt and mesquite, with maybe some high quality Tibetan goji berries and some vanilla. Well, you would have had that experience before you brought that in, but your temple's feeling pure. Then you bring in a zeolite, you're going to have an experience. But then if you're not factoring in the fact that you're being geoengineered and you're on a Wi-Fi, you're on a 5G, you've got a smart meter, you're associating with people with that. There's people with the mRNA gene editing. There's all those little interoperability things. If you're not factoring in all those little equations, maybe zeolite might not be good for you. If you're not factoring in becoming a conductor, because you are the wetware, you are the battery, you are the electromagnetic being. No ivermectin. You know, you don't know if those people are they're working with a TZLA, they're taking ivermectin, they're doing anhymelaceas, EDTA, they're doing all these things. I'm having a spiritual experience. Woo, this thing works. Yeah, that's a honeymoon period. Oh, I'm doing a vegan diet. Yeah, of course it's going to work. You were just eating shit junk food. You know, to be fair, I've met some of these raw food, goofy guru types, and then they become breatharians, and they'll go and sit in a Burger King, breathing in the burgers. You know, because it's not just the food, and then you've got to factor in then, so you got the body, you've got your electromagnetic body, you've got the food, you've got the natural medicines. I like to keep it really simple, essential oils, really simple food I can explain to a kid or my grandmother. Loads of nice herbs, seeds, healthy fats, you know, Western A price knowledge, good life food, living food knowledge, wild food knowledge. I'm looking at for some slow breeze now. Bringing in your essential oils, bringing in your oregano, bringing in nice balms, nice essential oils, bringing in all the good stuff. Then I bring in the analog acoustic technology. Then I bring in some slim Sperling 144 hertz. So I'm keeping it really, really simple. Keeping it so simple. Like, even the slim Sperling stuff is not new age. Yeah, so I'm just armour. Let me show you. Is he walking his talk? What's he got on him? Just been to the garage. What's he got on him? Ooh, look, an essential oil. Fit and Trim. Des Rosier essential oils. Some of the best essential oils on planet Earth. Right now, today, from a great chemist. Just had some essential oils. Cross the blood-brain barrier to the brain. Good shit. You know, so... Anyway, so I just keep it really simple. And so with the technology as well, it has to be complementary to the stem cells, to the cellular health, to the metabolism in the literature of this so-called quack medicine. And I'm confident that I've been reading very valuable knowledge where they incorporate the ether. And for me, if it's not broken, I don't have to fix it, and I certainly don't have to do comparitis. I don't have to do that. I know what I'm knowing, and with you, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you can see what I'm seeing and come up with your own equation. I have nothing against Jeff or the spooky people or any of these people. I just think they're at their point in their own education of what they think is the best. But they then shouldn't say, it's better than that, 1,001 times better. You can't really do that. And I'm not there to say that my machine's better. You know, you see, it becomes very childish then. It becomes very, very childish. And so I like to associate with those that are so in their knowledge that when you listen to them, you actually grow, because you're like, wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was energy. Wow, it's ether. That's awesome. You know, and so and then what I love about the antique technology is when you start to work with the antique technology. One second. Do you recommend the use of psychedelics like ibogaine, ayahuasca, or DMT to heal trauma? Okay, 10%. So if I had a heroin addiction, and I just so happen to be amongst some of the Kemet people of what we know as Africa, and I'm going through and I'm really wanting change, and I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, and I don't want to do a methadone program, and I meet an African, maybe a shaman, and he goes to me, Zish, and you want change. And he's like, come into the tribe, come and do this route, or whatever it is, ibogaine, it will help you. In that instance, yes. Ayahuasca, no, not ayahuasca. You know, again, if I was in the jungle and I was already in the jungle, I hadn't gone there to look for ayahuasca, I'm in the jungle. I happen to meet the Shipibo Indians. I'm learning Shipibo medicine. I'm all in Shipibo medicine. I'm drinking their cacao beverages. I'm enjoying their cacao and their coffee beans. And then one day we're on a hunt, and then we meet another tribe, and then we sit down, and it just so happens that, and I've been living in that land as part of the people, and just so happens that there's something of an ayahuasca with some other flowers and things like that, and a root, and it comes in without me going there on some sort of psychedelic new age holiday, then I'd say in some instances yes, but in the way that it's spun through people like Aubrey Marcus and wanting people to be out of their body, I'd say no. DMT, 1,000% no. 1,000% no to DMT. 1,000%, 1,000,000% no to DMT. You know, so I think it's a really important time right now to be in your bodies, especially when we're battling with these people that are on this very kind of, like look at all the Alex Gray rubbish. Look at all that Alex Gray crap, and all the painters, these so-called visionary painters, they all paint the same thing. It's like there's no individuality there coming out of this. It's all the same stuff. Peyote, I have a different outlook on peyote. Or mescalito, I have a different outlook on that. But with DMT, I'm like, no. You might as well talk about MDMA, ecstasy, and all those sorts of things. It's all like, for me, it's like, I think I'll just wait till I die. Wait till I go to sleep. Don't need to be out of my body. I want to become more integrated, more coherent, and more communicative and grounded. I don't need to microdose. I don't need to take mushrooms. We grow beautiful vegetables. I like I like, should spiritual healing be free in your opinion? As some retreats charge an arm and a leg for treatments. Now, with a lot of these DMT cults, it's very high and mighty. We are the Church of San Dimas. You know, should spiritual healing be free in your opinion? No, I think this should always be an energy exchange. I think because but then that comes back to the fact that you felt like you needed to go and see somebody. I think if somebody, again, if you've met that human being, if you meet somebody, I'm on 8%. If you meet somebody, thanks. If you meet someone and that somebody that you meet just so happens to be a spiritual healer and you've developed a friendship with them, even then there'll be an energy exchange. My friend comes along and he'll do some work on me, and there's always an energy exchange. He might feed me, I might feed him. So I think I don't think there's anything in this world is if it's free, you almost want to like, I'm not really interested in free. I sometimes give away things for free, but that's because someone already had invested. They've seen their investment in energy. And so God is very abundant. And I think that, I think if the human being is empowering you to take the bull by your own horns, I think that's a good thing. For example, I just paid $100 because I hurt my back and I was learning some Qigong and some Tai Chi, and I paid him $100 and started doing it. And then something happened where I was picking apples and hurt my back, and that knowledge, and then I went off and I bought a Bellicon. He didn't get any kickback from me buying that Bellicon rebounder. And you know, but if I could buy his merch, I would buy his merch because I like him. He helps me a lot. So I like to give energy. Like sometimes I'll donate money to people that are educating me on geopolitical ideas, or they're doing things and I'll donate a little bit. Yeah, I know. Well, I think, again, you've got to factor in that new age hodgepodge, you know, and all that stuff. But anyway, so this was Zish today talking about the difference between the modern and the antique. Yes, and so in a nutshell, there's some great modern stuff. There's some great antique stuff. I personally sell the antique stuff, and we're now working on something modern. So we're going to be bridging the two worlds. And then it will be up to people like yourselves to go out there and develop testimonials. And if you have research centers and places where you want to kind of like, you know, do the research and test these things out, you can do that. And I think it's a beautiful thing then to build a database as where, you know, without all that Sasha Stone stupid, you know, New Earth rubbish, just ridiculous stupidity. You can't understand a word of what half of these people say. And I think he's a Roths. He sounds like some sort of Rothschild. But anyway, so have fun. This is Brother Zish chiming in. If you want a Tesla machine, I've got some really beautiful Tesla machines available at the moment. Some really beautiful antiques. Feel free to DM me, message me. I've got small sets, large sets, luxury sets. They won't cost you as much as a Birkin, but they do certainly increase in value, and like gold. So if you're interested, if you would like an original antique Tesla machine, if you want to come into my Telegram group, and learn about what we're up to, you're very welcome. Specifically for customers and people that already get the whole Tony Pantalerescu. So you might want an anti-node triangle. You might have some challenges going on. I'm certainly happy to share ideas that I've garnered as a father that help me and my family and might help you and your family. And on that note, have a great day from my heart to yours, Brother Zish. I was going to listen to an audio. I was listening to some Bob Proctor, but I decided to use this son to do a Brother Zish global communication. Over and out. Black dog, white horse. Let's go.